My question is about disability. I used to think that my physical condition was symbolic of a limited way of looking at things, that there was a block, and that my physical body that I came into this world with was a symbol of me missing something. And around me now, it just doesn't feel that way. I feel so good, and I feel so right, and the physical condition of my life no longer seems like disability to me. In fact, my physical condition has been attached to some of the most magical events in my life, the relationships, the beauty, the appreciation of each moment. And there are days...
All is well?
Yes.
That was all just for the crew.
That or I really am more trouble than I'm worth.
Attention to the officer of the watch. You are more trouble than you are worth. We're ready for you.
So what used to seem like something that was given to me as a challenge often now seems a gift. And the question that's in my mind is, you talk about us coming into this physical world perfect, tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. And some of us are born with physical conditions, birth defects, disabilities. What is that? And what is this thing in my life? Is it something symptomatic of a limited way I'm looking at things, or is it a gift? Or is it both?
Well, we can feel that you have some contradicted energy around it, because as you began to speak, your vibration was really one way, and then in the question is a different sort of thing, and we are eager to address this, and it is our knowing that as you hear this, that you will feel it resonate within you, because it truly is your knowing. In fact, you provide for us an opportunity to say something that is so important, and not only will we get right to the heart of the specifics of your question, but as those of you who are listening in really hear what we're getting at here, it's going to be powerfully important to all of you. We've been talking already here today about how the only thing, in fact, it's the last thing we said to you before segment of refreshment, that the only thing that is important for any of you to understand is the vibrational variance or gap between where you are and where you want to be. In other words, where you are and that which life has caused you to become. And in this physical world in which most of you are focused most of the time, it's not an easy thing for you to give your attention only to that, because there are so many things outside of you that have your attention. And we were talking earlier about how it is your comparison with the others that causes you so much grief. Can you imagine, as Jerry and Esther are using their navigational system, which is giving them very clear-cut directions from where they are to where they now want to be, can you imagine if Magellan or Garmin or one of them got extremely helpful and overlaid 10 different maps for them to give them information about where they and 10 other people are and where they and 10 other people want to go? It would be utterly chaotic as they're trying to figure out streets that aren't even anywhere around them and roadways. And of course that is ridiculous when you think of it in that application, but so many humans are doing something equally ridiculous as they are trying to compare where they are with where a lot of other people are and where they want to be with where a lot of other people are. And so they get outside of their own guidance system and they try to use that information as their guidance. As you began with us just now before the fire drill, the words that you were offering were so satisfying to us as we heard them roll through you and as we felt the vibration of them, because what you were literally saying is, I have found that within my life experience that I have control over my vibrational variance. And because I've learned to appreciate, because I've turned my attention toward the things that are happening well in my life, then from my vantage point, which granted is different from the vantage point of a lot of humans, dramatically different enough that I am sitting in this chair, but the thing that we want you to understand is that everybody's vantage point is different, not as markedly different as yours, but you have a big advantage because you've begun to see yourself early on as different, and you learned right away that you couldn't compare yourself to that one and that one and that one and that one for all the obvious reasons. So it becomes more evident to you to deal with the things that you can control, which are your vibrational variance, and anyone who comes to that awareness early on or ever in life is at an extreme advantage to those that don't figure it out. And the majority of humans who surround you do not figure that out. They still are comparing where they are to where somebody else is. One of the stories that we often offer frequently relative to this subject is if you are living in your environment where everything is available easily and you go to what you would call an underdeveloped country and view the way they are living life, you would find more unhappiness on their behalf than they are finding, because the gap between what you are accustomed to living and what you are now seeing them live would be a wide gap. Well, where for them, what they're living and what they're asking for is not such a broad separation. And so we're not asking you to give in to your limitations. That's not the point of this at all. We are wanting to say to you that you deliberately came forth intending this extraordinary advantage of learning early on about your vibrational gap. That's the greatest message that you could give to anyone who is willing to listen, is that you're not limited because you still have access to desires that you still have vibrational access to. So, talk to us about current unfulfilled desires within you. In other words, what has your life caused you to ask for that you have not been able to close the gap on? Jerry gave the best title ever once, years ago, to the recording in a discussion similar to this, and his title said, "Is a snake a disabled lizard?" And the point is that they are two different beings with two different intentions. And so as you compare yourself to other humans and you say, but they have clearly given me the label of disabled. And we say, we would rather give you, all of you, the label of unique. And if you would accept your label of unique, and you would stop the comparison with all of the others, and you would let your own life give you the data from which you ask for what is next, and you work on closing that vibrational gap, you will discover that under any and all conditions, there are no limitations.
I am experiencing that. The way that I perceive myself and what I could do and how I felt about myself a couple of years ago is like night and day to how I feel now.
Well,
and I still struggle with it, of course. I mean, there's still days where I habitually, revert to frustration But the frustration that you feel as we're feeling the vibration of you, and we really want to give this to you, we think it will help you as you focus upon this over the next while and play with it, especially while we're together in these days. You will have a new understanding come forth within you. As you are able to withdraw your attention from comparing your physical experience with other physical beings, and instead you will think of yourself as a mental being. In other words, our friend that we began with just now, we were talking about the difference between motivating yourself to action and inspiring yourself to action. And those vibrations are worlds apart. When you do something because you should rather than because you are being called toward it, there's a very big difference in the vibrational alignment or misalignment. So as you see yourself as an individual, and you are able to resist the temptation of comparing yourself to other physical action, and instead you put yourself on a level playing field with everyone else. And we so want you to hear this. And that level playing field is that you are vibration first and foremost.
you are a vibrational being. And yes, you are physical flesh, blood, and bone. Certainly you are. And your world reflects that in terms of action. But if you will, just for the days that we are on this cruise, if you will think in terms of being the mental, vibrational being that you are, and you will begin to notice the harmony that you feel or disharmony, the discord or the alignment, the misalignment or the resistance or the allowing. In other words, as you begin to notice what you are doing with your vibration, so that you take yourself just for a little while. We'd like all of you to feel less physical and more vibrational. And as you come round to that, you will begin to feel extremely powerful, because all of your power is in your vibration. Now, are we saying to you that you could be born with what others are calling a disability, and that you could have learned to cope with it and live with it, and that you could be now focused on yourself as a vibrational being, and that you could be living some frustrations that come from the physical limitations and launching rockets of desire, and that the source energy part of you now is walking, the source energy part of you is now living a fully physical experience that you could now catch up with? Well, we are saying that any desire that this life causes you to give birth to, the source energy part of you is now living, and you can get up to speed with it. Are we saying that it is necessary for you to do that in order to have joy? Not at all. What we are saying is that if this life in this body has caused those desires to be launched, and now you don't let the absence of those desires keep you from coming into alignment, then that healing must be. So, but did you hear all of that?
Yes, I did.
In other words, so why did this happen to me? It happened to me because I wanted to determine first and foremost that I am a mental being, that I am a vibrational being. And once I get that, then I can find joy wherever I am. So, Abraham, are you saying that if we will just line up our energy, that we'll get happy and we won't care if the manifestations that we've been asking for don't come? Sounds like that's what we were saying. In other words, just become a mental being and resign yourself to your physical condition and line up your thoughts and feel joy, and now just be a joyful person in a wheelchair. It sounds like that's what we are saying. Well, it is what we're saying, but we're saying, as you are a joyful person in a wheelchair, and little by little you release any resistance. And if this life experience has caused you to desire a physical experience, and that desire is now the leading edge desire and supersedes any intentions that you had coming in, and it does. You are the leading edge extension. Are you hearing that? In other words, some would say, oh, well, from non-physical, I decided that I would go forth and be gay, for example, or live a disability, for example, so that I would be different enough in my physicalness that I couldn't march to the beat of the drummer that everybody else was beating and marching to, so then I would have to be different enough, and in my difference, I could find my true alignment, and when I find my true alignment, that's what it's really all about anyway. And all of that is true, except that you in this physical body are an extension of source energy, and you get from this physical experience, you get to add to anything that you have intended before. In other words, you are the leading edge of this extended thought and intention. You get that? So if this life experience has caused you to want something beyond what you've got, and if you can then put the physicalness aside from it and be the mental being that is finding joy anyway, in that alignment, given this new stuff that's in vibrational escrow, it has to come together for you. It has to. It is law. But don't make a test out of it. In other words, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would continue to do as we can feel that you're doing. We would continue to focus upon the positive aspects of what we are living, and we would accept ourselves as primarily the vibrational mental being that we are, and we would let our life for now be about alignment of energy, alignment of energy. We would say that to all of you, alignment of energy, alignment of energy. And as you turn again and again and again and again, thought after thought, subject after subject, and you begin going with the flow rather than resisting it, what begins to happen is you begin to flow toward all of the things that you're wanting. And if improved physical condition is one of them, and we know that it is, you flow toward that too. Our strong encouragement is that you don't bring others in on it. In other words, don't ask them what they think. Don't ask them what they know. Don't ask them to track your progress. In other words, let this be between you, and let it be anything that you and you have decided that you want it to be. Good.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.